An update on our show from last week. We talked for an hour and 40 minutes about the Burlington City Council and their allegedly LGBTQIA plus uplifting resolution, which was actually designed to paint a target on the backs of people who are protesting the abuse of children by calling them phobes. Interestingly, let me take you back to one of the public commenters that we played for you. His name was Mark Montalban, and Mark commented to the council. He believes that there is a real thing called transphobia. He believes that there is a real category of person called transgender children, and he believes that they are, in his words, fleeing to Vermont for safety. He'd like to make Burlington an even bigger sanctuary city for them. So obviously, we are not in agreement with Mark about that. But Mark also sees reality, and he sees the other side of this situation, and he said so publicly. As a reminder, Mark Montalban said that he has heard hundreds of people in his area of town say that they want to eliminate transphobic people. Here's what he had to say.
I'm a cultural vendor. I do a lot of business and trades in the New North End, and there are people in our part of town who actually would like to eliminate transphobic people, who told me that because I am supposedly one of them. I was even called a traitor because I'm considered a heterosexual male. So let's really look at what's going on. There are, I would say, at least a couple hundred people within our city who want to eliminate folks they are in fear of. I will say this is a pandemic, and as in a health pandemic, this city better take this pretty damn serious, because I'm hearing language that those from my grandmother's generation heard in the 1930s.
Okay. Did you happen to notice Miss Olivia Taylor behind him nodding vigorously when he said eliminate transphobic people? Notice these things. That's what she means. This needs to be repeated slowly to make sure there is no misunderstanding, because there are apparent misunderstandings. Mark said there are hundreds of people who want to eliminate transphobic people. Eliminate transphobic people, not eliminate trans people. Do you see the difference? They're opposites, right? Right? You see that. You hear it. He's speaking about us. He's speaking about Christopher Aaron Felker. He's speaking about Kevin Hurley. He's speaking about me. He's speaking about anyone else who objects to the mutilation of children. He is saying that the Nazi-like rhetoric that his grandparents talked about hearing in the 1930s, he's saying that rhetoric is being directed against us, not against trans people, against us. WAMC Public Radio in Albany, New York, heard something different. And they wanted to make sure that you, the listener, heard something different as well. Here they are.
The Burlington City Council held its first meeting since Town Meeting Day on Monday. The council will not change until its first meeting in April, and one of the items the lame duck session considered was a resolution of support for the city's LGBTQIA plus community. In advance of the city council meeting, Burlington Mayor Merle Weinberger, a Democrat, announced that if an item on the agenda was passed, he would be enthusiastically signing it. It was a resolution supporting the LGBTQIA plus community, condemning transphobia, and committing to begin observing a Trans Day of Visibility annually on March 31st. The measure has been put forth in the wake of growing violence nationally, regionally, and locally, and as a rash of anti-trans stickers have been posted across Burlington. The proposal dominated public comments. City resident Mark Montalban told councilors the resolution should go further and consider becoming a sanctuary city for the trans community.
There are, I would say, at least a couple hundred people within our city who want to eliminate folks they are in fear of. And this city better take this pretty damn serious, because I'm hearing language that those from my grandmother's generation heard in the 1930s.
Okay, did you hear what Pat Bradley and WAMC did? Did you hear what they did? They reversed it. They left out the part where he said transphobic people. And you know what? I'm really split here. We were talking last week when we were doing the show. Kevin and I were talking about this, and we were saying we were a little confused by what Mark said because we weren't expecting to hear anyone who was on the transgender side actually acknowledge that there were violent sentiments being expressed against us. We are so used to people saying, if I don't like you, it's okay if someone wants to kill you, that at first I could not believe that he actually was saying anything that would redound in credit to our side. But he did. He actually did. Part of me wants to extend a little charity to WAMC, but you know what? I'm not going to. I don't believe it. I don't believe it's confusion on their part. I think this was deliberate, and I want to point this out. Take a look at what's on their website. The proposal dominated public comments. City resident Mark Montalban told councilors the resolution should go further and consider becoming sanctuary city for the trans community. Quote, there are, I would say, at least a couple hundred people within our city who want to eliminate folks they are in fear of, etc., etc. But they left out the part. They deliberately made it seem like Mark was saying there were hundreds of people who wanted to eliminate trans people. Why are you doing this, WAMC? Do you think no one notices that you're doing this? Do you have a twinge of conscience? Even a little one? Do you think twice at all? You should. This is what we're up against. This is what you are up against, audience member. You're the target of this too. They're lying to you. How much of what you believe is just a lie? Listeners were led to believe that the 1930s type language was being directed by our side to the transgender population. Now, if WAMC had presented the soundbite in its full context, maybe we would have had a different perception. This is what Mark said. There are people in our part of town who would actually like to eliminate transphobic people. WAMC, I would appreciate a correction. I know that you will not.